My wife Maggie and I are sitting in the living room of our friends Damon and Kelly's house. This is a monthly meeting for our group of friends. There were 4 of us in total without children. Our circle of friends always remains the same. The wives went to elementary school together, and we men were just together. After college, all the girls took about 3 years to get married and start a family, and they were all housewives. We both live in a quiet suburb on the west side of Chicago, within walking distance of each other. They call their little hit the Sam Club. We were the first couple to get married and the second to have a child. Damon and Kelly originally had 2 kids, 5-year-old twins. Mark and Jill have a 3-year-old. We have 2 kids ages 5 and 4, and Steve and Robin have a 4-year-old. Oddly enough, all the children are girls except our son Cody. There's nothing special about the 2 of us. Damon owns a bar club that attracts a lot of people for DJ nights. I'm an accountant. Mark is a manager at a grocery chain, and Steve sells insurance. All the wives in the area were moms, beautiful soccer moms with very nice bodies, and they were both quite beautiful. But Jill was very attractive in college, and from what I heard, the wives were a little wild. We had Johnny Black from Damon, the ladies enjoyed white wine, and we were all very excited. We guys were very nervous, not as close as women, but we often spend time like men. Usually on the golf course or in the darts league at the Damon's pub. While we were both talking about our kids and their latest activities, Jill changed the subject and said, "I love being a responsible mom, but I miss dancing." The rest of the women agreed and began to remember their pre-childhood adventures. Maggie said, "Why don't we go dancing tomorrow night? We could let men take on fatherly duties and then go blow away the cobwebs." Damon said, "Why can't we come with you?" "Who are you dancing with?" "This is the one who wants it." "We can afford to go and shake our butts without worrying about our husbands or kids," Kelly said. "Wait," I said. "That's what these monthly meetings are for, a night away from children. Now you want to leave your husband for the night too? So, I don't need your rest. Why do you need me? Then you can go out and let the lizard in the room attack you." We've all heard Damon's stories over the years about wild women and horny men caught having sex in his bathroom or parking lot. We hear a lot about conflicts between husbands and wives who do things they shouldn't on the dance floor. Why do women think we put them in this situation? "Paul, it's not about getting hit, it's about going out and not being a wife and mother for a few hours," Maggie said. Damon said, "Okay, do it at my club, I'll drink." "Not at all, so can you spy on us?" "Damn," Maggie said suddenly. "I'm spying on you. Why should you worry about this?" I screamed. At this point, the whole evening turned into arguments and accusations. I'm not the only one concerned about why this is. In fact, it's obvious they discussed it before the party. They attacked us and I got angry. "Okay, let's break up. We need to calm down. The situation got out of control after one stupid night," I said. "Okay," Damon said. "Children, we start in Cantigny at 6:40. "It's not over yet," Jill said. "We're going out tomorrow night, that's all." Her husband Mark said, "We'll see," and left. I was happy because he was right behind me in the hallway, and I wanted to leave. "Come on, Mags." "Anything," she said, and left angrily. I shrugged and said goodnight to Damon and the others. The drive home was quiet, and she sat with her arms crossed like a wayward child. The only thing she was missing was a pike, and her pike rivaled my 5-year-old daughter's. In this situation, I cannot control my anger. They planned everything very clearly, and even chose the night. I think we all trust our wives, but wonder why they feel the need to leave us overnight. It's not like we've been married for decades and life is boring. As adults, Maggie and I went out many nights and were easy to find because our children's grandparents lived nearby and were happy to bring the children. We were even allowed to spend the night without the children. Do you want to change one or more women? Do you want to flirt with men instead of your men on the dance floor and let them feel your charm? Why did they think we were spies when they went to Damon's bar? What are you afraid we'll see? When I entered the garage, the door was open and I was almost out of the car before I could stop. Since the kids were with Mom, I thought I was in for a surprise when the garage door closed. After 3 glasses of wine at a party, she unceremoniously launched into a tirade of insults, something no red-haired Irish succubus had ever done before. "Because you're so stupid?" I had to think quickly and decide how far I wanted to go. I decided to let her go and slow down a little. "So, what's wrong with hanging out with friends? Do you think I'm yours? Do you think I do this to hang out and have sex? Answer me." I sighed and calmly said, "Tell me, why is it so important not to take your husband out? Why can't you dance with us and shake your ass in front of your husband like you said? Why risk being attacked or, God forbid, worse when you can dance with us as much as you want?" You've heard Damon's warnings about date rape drugs and beating up girls in parking lots. He had heard all the warnings and stories from other bar owners and the police. Don't you understand that we are only worried about you? You have nothing to worry about. We just wanted to let off some steam. Then go to Damon's bar where X can take care of you. If you do this, we'll all feel better and you'll save money on tickets and drinks. Kai Xavier, one of Damon's weekend bodyguards. He's 6'1", 300 pounds, and a big fan of Don't Fuck With Me. I'll talk to the girls. Maybe we can come to an agreement, he says. Sorry, I don't want to argue. The whole house belongs to us. Why not take advantage of it? She purred sexily and took off her blouse. As we walked up the stairs, we took off our coats. She was wearing underwear and I was naked as she sat on the bed. As I approached her, my hard cock moved forward and came closer to me. She grabbed my dick and passionately licked my head. Her blowjobs are incredible and she enjoys them. I am a happy man. Sensing her arousal, I spanked her ass and ordered her to do a 69 position. She took off her wet panties and rubbed them over my face. She rode my tongue for a few minutes and then returned to my dick to make music together. It tasted amazing. Their juices were a little salty, and I ate everything I could find and more kept coming. She started moaning on my dick as I licked her clitoris with the tip of my tongue. I tried my best, concentrating on her little buttons and bringing her to her first orgasm. She pulled away from my dick with a pop and said, "Yes, baby, right here. Yes, oh yeah." When he came down, he turned around, straddled my hips, and kissed me. She leaned back, aimed her channel at my dick, and plunged into the water. She slowly lowered herself to the floor and began rubbing her clitoris against my body, making circular movements with her hips. "I love you, baby," he said, riding me faster. I kissed her wrist as she brought her hand to my head. I took her ass in my hands and squeezed it the way she wanted, and she moaned in gratitude. Her bra-clad breasts were so close that I had to put them in my mouth, so I unclasped her lace prison and threw her across the room. As she approached me, I felt her C-cup-shaped treasure on my face. A hard nipple found my tongue. He was in seventh heaven, licking her, biting and sucking her as she wanted. She trembled with her impending orgasm and her body rose up abruptly. I know the love of my life very well, and this is her cue to run my thumb over her clit as she comes. I could feel her juices running down my body as she moved up and down, rocking me back and forth in her intense pleasure. Their joyful cries filled the room. In an all-too-familiar motion, she turned to the side, wanting me to hug her from behind. I turned around and brought her wet pussy to my throbbing rod, ramming it into her with one thrust. I moved in and out as she swayed back and forth in an intricate dance. I licked and sucked my thumb until I got the wetness I wanted, and then played with her back door. The taste of our bodies was the only sound in the room as I felt my orgasm building. "Yes, fuck me, do it, fuck me harder. Stronger," he shouted as I obeyed his orders. I stuck my thumb inside her tight, forbidden hole and started pumping her as hard as I could. As the sweat from my forehead ran down her back, she screamed again, "I'm coming!" "Do not stop. Stronger." With one last thrust, I went as deep as I could, coming into her smooth pussy over and over again. I leaned forward on my hands and kissed her shoulders and neck. I tasted his sweat and asked, "How about a bath?" "I never want to leave this place," he said with a smile. I kissed her and then removed the moisturizer. He immediately covered the hole with his hands and quickly ran to the bathroom. I smiled at him and said, "You know this won't work. There's still a wet spot on your side of the bed." She smiled and started taking a shower. "Yes, but that just means I'll sleep closer to you tonight." I was so tired when the alarm went off. I slowly walked into the shower to wake up, kissed the sleeping love of my life on the cheek, and then went downstairs to get a cup of coffee. I still didn't like yesterday's match, and I knew I would have to have a long discussion with the guys about it, including 18 holes and a case of beer. I grabbed a can of Youngling from the refrigerator in the garage, threw the title lists in the back of the truck, and headed to the golf course. When I pulled into the parking lot, I saw that others already had strollers, so I parked next to them. Mark said, "Hey Paul, give me a 3, and we're ready for this round." He owed me $20 when I won the last 4 holes last week, and it cost me $125 to play. I took out a $100 bill, handed it to him, and said, "I have to keep this. We have not yet seen how much you will lose with me today." As I was loading my bag into the car, Damon Bailey laughed and said, "Guys, grab a beer. It should be cold enough to keep them in the bag without overheating." Steve said, "Damn it, Paul, 6 of us can't go back. The beer girls will probably get some of our money back today." I had a few cigarettes. Cigarettes, Bel Cieli Toro Gordon. I never understood his need to smoke good cigars on the golf course. They're probably $8 a pop, so it's not crazy, but it still seems like a waste because they'll end up on the ground, forgotten, or, as has happened before, batted into someone's mouth. After a costly miss, I pounced, and at one point nearly tore Mark's head off. Oops. However, we pay over $100 for golf. People will also think it's stupid. Loaded with lit cigars and open beer, we headed to the first tea house. I was driving with Mark, and while we were waiting, he was talking about the party and the ladies' ambush. Man, I was worried the girls were going to go out without us tonight. It's not like them. And to be honest, Jill has been talking about her crazy college years lately. Post office. Yes, she talked about their threesome on the phone last week. She didn't know that I wasn't home yet, and I heard their conversation, so it was impossible to hide it. I know she was at the party, so it's no big deal. She's fine with that. She hadn't told me before, but she said she missed this lifestyle and it was new to me. Damn, now he wants to humiliate our women too, I said. I really thought I was done with all this nonsense, and now that I have little Sammy, I don't think I have to worry about whether she's faithful to me or not. It's a pity. She was the one who brought it up during their little ambush last night. It makes sense that she would pursue this goal, but Maggie is all too willing to fight for it. He nodded, and I saw sadness in his eyes. It doesn't make sense to me. Marcos likes it. They treated her like a queen. She has a new SUV, the latest home accessories, money in the bank, and a room dedicated to her scrapbooks. They have regular meetings, and we take care of Sammy when needed, so they have plenty of non-child-related activities that she may enjoy. But this may not be the life you want. Maybe she didn't want to be a mother after all. Can the party girl she once was still be herself? I had heard about postpartum depression, but it didn't bother me and my wife didn't mention it. I thought about my wife. Could he be cheating on me? Does he know that Jill wants to go back to her old life? I didn't notice any strange behavior. She never rejected me for sexual reasons. Of course, we were interrupted a few times because the kids woke up, but that was it. Want to try it with someone else? Am I not good enough for her? I have a good physique, so she can't look for a bigger dick. Perhaps I'm exaggerating. Perhaps it was just an innocent bachelor party. They do, don't they? We stopped at the turn before the 10th hole and bought hot dogs. While we were eating, Damon said, "You know what happened to our wives, right?" We all nodded. They were so hostile at the dance party last night that it made me feel bad. The fact that they were worried that we knew what they were doing and refused to come to my bar doesn't mean anything to me. It really affected me. Got off. I agree, I said. I'd talked to Maggie about it, and she said they would consider coming to your bar as a commitment, but I really don't think they'll go for it. They have a specific plan. We just need to find out what it is. This means there is. If they don't come to my bar, how about I ask Rick to follow them, Damon said. Rick is the new security guard at Damon's bar, and none of the girls know him. It's just as impressive as X. Yes, I like this idea. Will you intervene if the kids go too far? I asked. Dude, I'll pay him to do what we want him to do, Damon said. Okay, let's finish the last 9 and then make a plan, Steve said, lighting another cigarette. We finished our round of golf and sat down at Damon's bar to chat with Rick. So that's what we want, to follow our women wherever they go. Stay in the background and watch them. If the situation gets out of control, record a video on your phone and message me. Touch your breasts or butt, kiss, massage, whatever you do with your wife. If any of them try to leave with a man, stop them, Damon said. How can you stop them? Asked Rick. Would you like me to contact them? No, keep going while you write them. Then stop her and ask if her husband is okay with this. Then show her that you recorded the woman walking together and sent her the video. This should stop them from continuing. If she does that shit, go away, go home, call her Uber. When are they going to attack that shit? Well, it's his fault. Rick smiled and said, Sure, boss, I'll take care of it. Carla, my wife's friend, cheated on her husband and got pregnant by a stripper. This stupid rich woman had a cute boyfriend and she left him to go to a party. She's still single. I hate liars. Why don't you come to my house with the kids tonight? They'll enjoy spending the night with us. And if something happens at the club they go to, some of us will be able to run out to find them without any help. I ask you to take care of the children. Good idea, Damon, I said. We will contact the base as soon as the women tell us their plans and coordinate from there. As I entered the house, Maggie grabbed the keys and hovered over me. I am going to the shop. I'll be back soon. Honey, can you give me some shaving cream? I asked. He stopped at his car door and said, I'm not going to the grocery store. I'm going to the mall with the girls to pick out something to wear tonight. Why do you need a new suit today? Who are you trying to impress? Don't be stupid. I just want to be beautiful, not like a mother. You are a mother and wife. You must not forget this. I closed the door and walked up to the children. They were sleeping, so I took a shower and cooked dinner. Later, they got comfortable and, as usual, sat in front of the TV and watched Frozen 2 for the millionth time. I smiled when I saw them sitting together on the floor. I thought about the great love I have for my family. If Maggie tried to deceive me, it would break my heart. Why would you take such a risk? She always seems happy. Before we got married, we talked several times about our dreams for the future. The same thing happens to us, the family. She needs to know that if she cheats, we can handle it. I had a fiancée who cheated on me before I even met her. In fact, she was the one who pulled me out of 6 months of discomfort and showed me that I could love and trust again. I would never have accepted her cheating on me, and I would never have accepted her helping her friend cheat on me if she had not cheated on herself. Someone needs to be the voice of reason, not the pioneer. I thought it would be her. I was playing Candyland with the kids when she came through the door at 6. It was our usual dinner time, but since we knew we were going to Steve's for pizza, we just grabbed a bite. He walked past us whistling and entered our room without saying a word. He clearly avoided me in our conversation during the evening. It doesn't even take almost 4 hours to buy clothes. Cody shouted, "Mommy, come play with us." She didn't hear his voice and ignored him. I'm afraid it's the latter. "Go and find his friend," I said, and he ran up the stairs. I didn't hear their conversation, but I heard the door to their room close. My daughter Heather said, "Ooh, yeah, baby, definitely." I went over to see what was going on and heard my wife talking on the phone. He closed the bedroom door, but I could clearly see the conversation from his side. "Yes," she said. "We couldn't ventilate Damon's house. I told them that we said we were only going there to stop them fighting, and then, after a few drinks, we went to Damon's actual party. They had a great party, dance floor and lots of dance music. Then he said goodbye and took a shower. I opened the door to Cody's room and he was crying. "What's wrong with you, my love?" "My mother told me not to bother her anymore, not to bother her anymore." I hugged him and said, "Don't worry, honey. We're going to Uncle Steve's house and spending the night with all your friends." "Heather too?" "Yes, and your sister too. Now keep your head up and let's finish our game." He ran down the stairs as if nothing had happened. Fortunately, attention spans are short. I wrote to these people in the group chat and told them what I heard. He was talking to Jill because Mark says he heard the same conversation with Jill. I just finished cleaning Candyland when she walked in wearing the sexiest short skirt and heels I've ever seen her wear. "What's for lunch?" I asked when the children entered the room. "What do you think?" I said, "I'll go. You need to take care of dinner. None of your plans were actually discussed with me. You flew out of here and avoided me all day. Now I see you walking around like a $20 whore." This made her angry. "Damn, you piece of shit. You don't have to be an idiot to do this. Let's dance." "By the way, Dance, you can barely walk in a dress that barely covers your butt and shoes. You wear more makeup than Gene Simmons and smell like perfume. You criticize your son for this." Jay was still crying, and when I found him, you told him to leave you alone and didn't even bother to calm him down. What's happening? What happened to the woman I married who dreamed of becoming a mother? When did you become a whore? She hit me and said, "Damn it, you'll be lucky if I come home now." He ran out of the house without even saying goodbye to the children. I didn't feel very well that night. Since they started with Damon, we didn't have to worry about where they would go. Rick took a photo of them and waited in the parking lot for them to leave. They won't do anything stupid. At 9 o'clock, Rick sent Damon a photo to make sure the same group of women had left, so the party could begin. Steve asked his older niece to watch the kids while they watched a movie in the basement. We sat in his living room and drank beer that Steve had carefully selected. Every time I get a message, I wait for updates and jump. "Rick, I just needed to move on. They were in 2 cars. "That's good," Mark said. 2 cars, so if one gets away, they can still get home." I shake my head at our collective intolerance. 20 minutes later, we got another one. "Rick, now dance. Nothing is beyond our reach. There are no boys yet." We all felt relieved, but the tension was growing. We all drank beer, but it wasn't a low-alcohol Miller Lite. This is a strong craft beer with a high alcohol content. I decided to quit drinking. If something goes wrong, someone has to wake up to take the wheel. Soon, the next text message arrived. "Rick." A group of cowboys, all wearing hats and no cows, brought drinks. Lots of elements of gratitude, no limits, until further notice. At this point, Mark prepares to run away and intervene. Wait, Mark, I said, we expected this to happen. Everything turned out to be not even as bad as we feared. Let's wait a little longer and then start vaccinating. It's okay, Pablo. You were right. Oops, but I'm nervous. We all are, Steve said. Come on, eat pizza and relax. Beer has an impact. As we finished the rest of the cold pizza, Damon's phone rang again. Rick, I'll send you pictures. Now the dance has become dirtier. Our stomachs growled as we waited for the images to appear. When they do, they suck. There are no photos of Robin, Jill putting her hands on her butt like she's slow dancing, Kelly putting her hands on her cowboy butt, or Maggie becoming her husband. Damon texts Rick about Robin. Where's the other redhead? Rick, she doesn't slow dance. She just dances fast and line dances and doesn't drink. Your brilliant cowboy has moved on to greener pastures. Steve was happy. It seemed like a weight had been lifted off his shoulders. We don't have many of them. While we were cooking, Steve came downstairs to check on the kids. He was getting increasingly angry and fearing the worst. Damon's phone rang again. Rick, women can talk. Looks like Red wants to leave. At that moment, Steve entered. Hey, Robin got mad and asked me to come get her. I told him, go and get her. She clearly didn't want to be there. Don't keep them waiting. He agreed and left a moment later. It's amazing, Damon said. They left their children alone so they could stay and act like whores. I know. At least we know what happened, Mark said. If Rick wasn't here, I would be devastated right now and afraid she would go back to her crazy days. 20 minutes later, we received the video. It shows us how all the women hit on our partners while dancing to a fast tune. Jill took her breasts in her hands and squeezed them. Kelly rubbed her barely covered pussy against her husband's thigh as he held her ass, and Maggie leaned over her husband as he nibbled on her neck. I threw the beer bottle across the room as Robin and Steve walked into the kitchen. I told them I didn't want anything to do with it. I could only imagine what they were doing, Robin said. What do you mean? Marcos asked. Jill wanted to have sex. Kelly and Maggie said that wasn't the case, but Jill convinced them to go with her to a weird party in a motel room. I said no and they insulted me. Can you believe it? They called me whore because I don't want to be a whore. I was about to get up when Robin stopped me. Paul, she said she was just going to do a dirty dance. I don't think Maggie would cheat on you. It doesn't look like it, I shouted. Then we heard the front door close. Where is Marcos? Damon asked. Damn, he was there, I said. Damn, we better go find him, Steve said as we ran out the door. He flew out of the alley like a bat out of hell. Warn Rick, I said. Tell him he's in trouble and make sure Mark doesn't go to jail. Up there. We parked in the club's parking lot and waited. Rick said he caught Mark running towards him. He left him and Mark settled into the car that was waiting for us. Rick is very attentive to what's going on inside. He reported that nothing serious had happened and that they were just sitting and drinking. We found Mark's car and he came to say hello. I really wanted to kick, but Rick stopped me. I think you warned him that I was leaving. Yeah, we don't need to get you out of jail, Damon said. Damon's phone rang. Rick, the girls come out in pairs. I know you're here, but let's continue with our plan. Stay in your car. Okay, guys. They get back in the car and hit the road, Damon said. We saw a woman's car 2 rows ahead of us, so we got on the Mark's Traverse and waited. They walked out smiling, hugging their future cowboys, Rick behind them, and filming as planned. Jill and her husband sat in the back seat of the van, Kelly and her husband sat in the car next to them, and Maggie and her husband had to find their own car so it was private. Luckily, Maggie came to our car and Rick stopped Kelly and Jill. He didn't even notice us when he approached. I rolled down the window and shouted, "Hey!" She made a mistake while looking for me. I saw the scared look on his face as he looked around. I opened the door and the others followed me. They went to take care of their whores, and I took care of mine. So what's going on here? I asked. What do you want, you piece of shit? Her husband told me. I'll play with my wife. This is what I want. Hey, she said she's getting a divorce. I don't mess with a married dog. A lot of effort. He began to sob, holding his head in his hands and leaning against the trunk of a car parked nearby. Well, it looks like he's telling the truth. Now he's getting a divorce, I said, and left. You can keep them, but be careful. She doesn't look like a lonely girl anymore. No! He shouted, grabbed me and tried to turn me around. She must have been drunk because she fell, and when she was on the floor, I saw that she had no panties on. I looked at her crying on the floor and took out my phone to take a photo. He suddenly raised his head and asked, "What are you doing?" I looked at her with as much disgust as possible and said, "Every time you ask me to forgive you and take you back, I look at a photo of you drunk on the floor and without panties. Me. Now I'll look at you and remember that you want to fuck this shit. The idiot came up and said, "Why are you so stupid? We didn't even do anything." "Give me her panties, you bastard," she cried harder as he helped her up, then pulled her panties out of his back pocket and handed them to me. I threw it at him and spat on the ground. "Bye, darling. Go home, change clothes, pack your bags, and go to your parents. I don't want them to see you acting like a slut. Tomorrow morning, when you get home, I'll send them a video of your antics. Tonight, no, Pablo, please, I do not want to do anything. He just wants to take me home." "Issa, is this true? If you lied to me, my boyfriend would have intervened," I said, pointing at Rick, who had just hit one of his friends. "No, we wanted to get to know each other better in my car." Maggie slapped him and screamed, "You bastard! I never wanted to sleep with you." I shook my head and went to see if my friends were okay. As I approached the two cowboys, they ran past me. I saw two women arguing with their husbands. I looked at Rick and said, "Am I missing out on all the fun?" "It doesn't look like it," he said, laughing, and then nodded to my wife, who was stumbling across the table with heels in one hand and panties in the other. This would be a funny photo without my soon-to-be ex-wife. Before I could say anything, two patrol cars pulled up in front of us. Luckily, when the police arrived, the cowboys were driving the truck. "Guys, is there a problem here?" asked one of the policemen. I came up and said, "There were guys there who abused our women. We scared them, so now everything is fine." He looked at me for a moment and asked, "Have you been drinking?" "No, we were at home when my wife called us to pick them up because they had drunk too much. You know what housewives' nights with their daughters are like. And they followed them while they waited. We arrived just in time, and by the time we got there, the bastards were already gone. He took our IDs and treated them like the police do." At that moment, our wives calmed down and hid in the car, and the four of us approached the police car. He came out and said, "Okay, let's get her home safe and sound." I nodded and he said, "Looks like you might want to keep her on a shorter leash." He got into the car and they drove off. "Even the police think you look like a whore," Mark said as he walked away. He got into the truck and drove off, leaving Jill behind. Damon said, "Ladies, I just ordered a taxi for you. Go home and pack your bags. We won't be here tonight. Wake up and we will deal with your betrayal in the morning." This caused Kelly and Maggie to cry again, and Jill to have a look of hatred on her face. Damon said, "Damn it, Gil. It's up to you and your desire to relive the old days of prostitutes. You brought your friend into this, and now you have to pay for it." Thank God Robin had the good sense to warn us. "Let them go home alone so we can let these idiots fix your weird dicks. Oh yeah, we know about the motel party plans, bitches, so they better find a good excuse for it in tomorrow's discussion." When Steve returned to get the truck, she stopped. When it arrived, a taxi came and picked up our wife. None of us responded to what they said. All the begging and pleading they could muster would not help them tonight. "I'm seriously considering divorce," I said. "I saw your wife put her buttocks in the back seat, but mine wasn't far away. But since she was wearing the damn thing, they gave her panties, and he was sure she didn't have any. Good intentions." He nodded. "But my main concern is the children. I can't be a part-time dad. I'm going to commit suicide. They are so young that I don't know what to do. I just don't know what to do. Do it, do it, do. Damn, I don't know." When I woke up, I heard the sound of children running, as if children were welcoming the arrival of their friends. Robin made breakfast, which, judging by the smell, consisted of French toast and bacon. I also smelled coffee, so I went to the kitchen and poured Dad a glass of refreshing juice. I saw that it was already 6 in the morning and sighed. At least I had a few hours before my hungover wife woke up. Wait, when I turned on the phone, I was horrified by this fiasco. I saw that she had 5 voicemails, 3 from her, 1 from Mark, and 1 from her father, Dale. I heard Mark singing first. He just told me that he went to the hotel and that everything was fine. Dale informed me that my wife was safe there. It turns out he hasn't returned home yet. She went straight there. I can only imagine what that conversation was like and the state she was in. I didn't bother to listen to Maggie's message. I tried to read the texts, but they were so scattered that I deleted them. A few minutes later, Steve and Damon walked into the kitchen and sat on stools at the counter. Robin was the first to speak. "Sorry, guys." I really tried to reason with her. I said, "Don't worry, Robin. You're the only one in the group who has a good idea to leave. There's a guy watching us at the bar." "What?" she screamed. "You are spying on us, bastards. "Shut up," Steve shouted. "How dare you get angry because we were worried and someone was following you? What do you think happened last night? We found them leading people to cars, Robin." Jill and Kelly were in the back seat. She stood there, as surprised as the rest of us by Steve's outburst. Thank God the children didn't listen. "You want to stay there because you think you haven't done anything wrong. When you were on Earth, did you ever stop your friends from acting like whores? I don't think. It's okay to act like a slut, to be kissed and touched by strangers, but the restriction applies to the hands and lips of men other than their husbands. Steve, this is... Help me. What do you think about your little plan to ambush us and you're surprised that we don't want you alone right now? Yesterday went exactly as we feared. The marriage is in trouble, Robin. We also appreciate your support of their efforts. Do you think if everyone was fighting to keep Damon safe, we wouldn't know something was wrong? I just wanted to know what your true intentions were last night and whether you were afraid of your orgy plans." She was sobbing and said, "Steve, please don't do this. You have to believe me. I don't believe a word that's coming out of your mouth right now. I want to go." Steve stood up and left us all sitting there while Robin ran to his room, and Damon and I sat there with our mouths open in shock. "Oh my God, I didn't expect this to happen," Damon said. I shrugged and said, "Let's make the kids breakfast and go." I had Acadia, so I had a place for Mark's daughter. I'll take him to the hotel. Everything is fine. We finished breakfast and had a fight with the kids. Robin calmed down and returned to help him. Before I left, I asked him, "Are you okay?" She hugged me and whispered, "I hope so. I hope so." When I called Mark and asked him to pick up my daughter, he didn't answer, so I went to his house. I left him a message and asked him to meet me there. Jill opened the door and screamed, "What do you want, asshole?" Little Sammy started crying behind me, so I picked her up, turned around, and walked back to the car. Jill came out, screamed for me to give her the baby, and then started hitting me in the back. A neighbor saw what was happening and called the police. When they arrived, she was still hitting me and trying to get Sammy out of my car. My kids were crying, so that was just a bummer. The police ordered her to leave, and she started screaming at them that I had kidnapped her son. Of course, they take this seriously. One officer took Jill to the other side of my car to hear her story while the other stayed with me. I told him the whole story from yesterday until he yelled at me at the door. I explained that I would take Sammy home, but Jill couldn't pick him up. A few minutes later, Mark pulled into the driveway. He came up to me and the police and asked what happened. Having warned him, the policeman verified his identity and confirmed my testimony given the day before. He then heard my voicemail and said he was going to take Sammy home and we would meet him there. The officer finally relaxed, satisfied that I posed no threat to anyone, so he allowed Mark to take Sammy, despite Jill's persistent objections. Jill looks like a lost soul. As he drove away, she crashed into his car, grabbed a brick from the yard, and threw it at the speeding car. This led to his arrest. Mark was right to ask the police for a restraining order. Jill's extensive arrest record made things easier. I went home to see if Maggie was home or if she was still with her father. I thought I was still dreaming because my phone never rang. I let the kids have a snack at home, sit in front of the TV, and then go into the kitchen to call Dale. "Oh my God, Paul, what happened last night? Maggie came here drunk and dressed like a prostitute. She said you kicked her out and she didn't do anything. I didn't even have a chance to take anything from him, but he passed out and was still like a light. We are very worried. Dale, she and her idiot friend dressed like this to go to the dance. Let's say I caught her walking to the car with another guy. My God. Yes, you're right, it didn't come to that, but that's only because I left. She wanted to do something illegal with this guy's car. I'm so sorry, Pablo. What happens now? I don't know, Dale. Can I forgive him for trying to deceive me, but this did not happen due to my intervention? Paul, you know I love you, but he is my son. I would like you to try to forgive him. At least think about it for the sake of the children. Dale, you don't know half the problem with what he did last night. Even with the events leading up to this show, she had her own agenda and did not respect our marriage and family. I need time to think about this. But you're right about the children. That's the most important thing for me. Do you mind if I go and help her pick up the car from the club she's at? Of course, son. Come here. If you want to leave your grandchildren, Katya wants to see them. Sounds good to me. I told Dale the whole story on the way to the club. He was very surprised, but still tried to get her to forgive him. As soon as I pulled into the parking lot, my phone rang. This is Maggie. I ignored him and Dale frowned. You can't hide from her, son. You have two small children and you need to talk about it. You just can't let it bother you. I know. I'll go home and wait for him. Can you watch the kids while we talk there? Certainly. Listen to her. Perhaps you can talk to a pastor or counselor who can help you with this. Of course, Dale. But you have to go step by step. I texted my wife and asked her to meet me at home at 1 p.m., and she'll have to answer 4 questions honestly to start the conversation. 1. Did you carry out your plan to arrest this person? 2. Are you going to a motel? 3. Why did he give her his underwear? 4. Driving with him to his car, what would she do? I already know the answers to some of these questions. That night I'd already heard lies from him about other people. I would know if she lied to me. As he lay down, his right eye moved slightly and almost imperceptibly. Even if it was a small lie, he could still see it. This is probably why he did not want to talk about his plans before leaving. She knew that I knew that her nerves were shaking. Maggie's parents, Dale and Katie, have the perfect marriage. They were high school sweethearts and married shortly after graduating from high school. When Maggie introduced me to her parents, I was surprised by their behavior. They continued to touch each other, kissing on the cheek, patting the butt, holding hands. It's just disgusting. They always sat together, and when there was only one place left, Dale came as close as possible and hugged Katya. When I asked him to give Maggie his blessing for the marriage, we had a long conversation about how to maintain a happy marriage long after the news had died down. He explained, "Paul, the road to marriage is never straight or easy. You can drive for miles without turns or potholes, but eventually you'll hit one. The key is to make sure your car can handle this important moment. Maintenance required. If you ignore minor problems or skip regular maintenance and oil changes, your car won't last long. If the road is your marriage, then your car is your relationship. You have to keep trying. This doesn't mean that birthdays and anniversaries shouldn't be forgotten. They're just part of it. It means spending time together. Be loving, care about others, and do those little things that you might not want to do because they are small and just not important. If your relationship remains in good health, you will have a long and fulfilling marriage. I'm reliving this conversation and many others we've had over the past few years. I thought we had the same love as her. We're not very sensitive, but we take the time, so to speak, to make sure our marriage is still working. I've always been pleased with the stability of our marriage and am completely confident in its fidelity. Before that night, I couldn't imagine him cheating on our marriage. Did I miss any warning signs? Am I not doing the little things I need to do to maintain a healthy marriage? This requires some thought. At 1 o'clock in the afternoon, he came home and walked into the living room looking terrible. He had to stop crying because his eyes were still red and puffy. "Floor?" she said. "Go, pull yourself together." "I don't want to see you dressed like a whore," I said, sobbing. "There's really no reason to change them. Is it really because I don't want her to be like this, or do I just need more time to think?" I looked at the TV and realized that I was watching a DVD that the children had brought and were watching. I shook my head and realized how deep in thought I had been watching Frozen 2 without even realizing it. Half an hour later, she came down from her shower, wearing yoga pants and a t-shirt. She knows I like her ass in those pants because she's been having some grown-up fun lately. I was half convinced that she wasn't just dressing for comfort. She was trying to remind me of her sex appeal. This does not work. "Floor?" she said. "Dear, Wait, I said. "I ask you to prepare answers to 4 questions before you speak. Can you answer them?" "And? Back?" She sighed and said, "I swear to God, I didn't go to anyone." I didn't answer. She looked at me and waited for me to continue. I looked closely into her eyes, trying to see any signs of fear, but for a moment, I was distracted by the seductive movement of her hair and the bite of her lips. Damn, I love him. She gave me a hard time, and I don't think it was intentional. Since there were no children at home, I had to bend her over on the sofa. However, I noticed that she did not fully answer the question. I was wondering what the group was doing, but I let them continue. I never intended to go to a motel with Jill. It was his idea. I swear I didn't want to leave. I just wanted to take the guy to his car and catch a taxi home. I'm really sorry. Last night I told him, "This is bullshit." I don't know why I said he would take me. I guess I just panicked. He waited again and again. I didn't say anything. Yes, I gave him my underwear. I was drunk, and everyone encouraged me to do it. I went to the bathroom alone and took it off. I didn't ask him to do it, and I didn't do it at dinner. Table. I swear he never touched me there. She knew it was true because Rick would look at her and would see it. I'm still angry that she did this. Paul, I swear to God, I didn't want to get in his car. God, I wish you could have seen this before we left. I know you don't believe me, but it's true. I wanted to kiss him goodnight. I knew it was bad enough, but I had no intention of getting into his car. Give me your phone number. So? Who are you? It's nice here. I opened his nearest phone number. I saw all the conversations of the other girls and decided that they needed to tell their stories. Then I saw Simon's number. Who is Simon? I asked. The corner of her eye twitched, but she didn't respond. Maggie, who is Simon? That guy at the bar. Why do you need his phone number? I don't have one. He must have planted it while I was in the bathroom. Yes, it's true, I thought. There's one thing I can't get out of my head. You told him you were getting a divorce. Explain. We wanted them to buy us drinks. We thought if we got married, they wouldn't do it. Would you like to buy yourself a drink? Are you suddenly broke and can't spend money on alcohol? There's enough money in the bank. Sorry, I do not know what else to say. We were stupid, I see. I ruined everything, but I never meant to deceive you. Well, all the evidence points to the contrary. You hid your plans. You dressed like a whore. You hit me and said I'd be lucky if you came home. You told him you wanted a divorce, Gil tried. You had an orgy in a motel and then returned to your car naked. Your horny friends were sitting in the back seat with their children. All this tells me is that you were trying to deceive me. She started crying and ran out of the room. My anger has lessened and I feel a little calmer. I didn't see any signs that he was lying to me. I just can't figure out if his actions or apparent intentions matter. I blocked out everything that was going to happen, so I had no way of knowing if he could convince her to get into his car. When she was sober, they could convince her to give up her panties, but how else could they convince her to give up? I was completely shocked by his behavior. He had never behaved erratically before. Sure, she was very horny after a few drinks in bed, but that was nothing compared to what she did that night. I had absolutely no idea what to do next. After the fight at Damon's house, she became a completely different person within 24 hours. I left the house without seeing her and called Mark. After obtaining a restraining order against Jill, he and his daughter returned home. He invited me to talk about our problems, and I agreed. Pain loves company and all that, doesn't he? I stopped, bought about 6 packs of Two Hearts beer, and moved on. It will be a difficult day. When he opened the door, I saw that he was upset. He was still happy and smiling, but now he looked like he hadn't slept in a week. Sammy is taking a nap. Come into the room, he said. She had a wireless baby monitor and could listen to soft music in her room. Have you spoken to Maggie? I asked. Yes, she insisted she wouldn't get into that idiot's car, but I'm not sure I believed her. Damn, even if I believed her, I wouldn't say he wasn't cute. She convinced him. I really didn't know what to do. What happened to Jill? He spoke about his arrest and restraining order, and said he had a meeting with a lawyer on Tuesday. So are you really divorced? I asked. Yes, look at this. These texts helped make the decision. He handed me his phone and showed me a series of text messages Jill had sent him after he left the club. The first one surprised me. He said, "Bastard, just because you stopped me from having fun tonight doesn't mean you already did. I'll make you lick his cum out of my pussy again. Just wait, damn it, damn it." I could take another one. A better man will make you concentrate and clean his dick with your tongue. Oh my God, I said as I continued to scroll. Most of them consisted of insults she directed at him, including threats to take Sammy and leave him. But the last letter, sent at 1 a.m., said, "Take a DNA test, you bastard." I looked at him. He was sad and shook his head. He left his phone here this morning, she continued. There were a lot of text messages from other people, nudes being exchanged and things like that. Yes, we're done. I emailed these screenshots before he returned with a police escort to collect some of his clothing and personal belongings. I think he'll probably rot in hell, but I would like custody of Sammy. I really think Jill is mentally unstable. He certainly looked like that when he hit me this morning. I'm really sorry. I was finishing my shower when you called. I thought we would arrive at the same time, so I didn't call you back. I left as soon as I saw your message. Okay, bro. Pablo, what are you going to do? My priority is children. I don't want to be a part-time dad. At least you have a chance to get arrested, but I didn't have that chance. I think I need to try to decide if I can. Get it? Because of what she did. As much as I want to be with the kids, I don't want to live with her as a roommate. I'm sure Jill did this to others. She was motivation all night. Perhaps you should lean toward forgiveness. She never cheated. I know. I just don't want her to look like a sissy and make her think she can get away with anything. What will happen next time I'm not here? Damn me. Yes, very bad. At this point, Sammy woke up and our discussion of the problem ended for the time being. However, this did not stop me from drinking. After a few minutes, Mark stopped. But why did I have to stop? After drinking God knows how many more beers, Mark drove me home. When we arrived, Maggie's car was in the driveway. As I got out of the car, I frowned at the thought of having to deal with her again. I said goodbye to Mark and Sammy laughed and called me an idiot. I walked in the front door and smelled cooking. I closed the door and went into the bedroom to avoid Maggie. I guess I wasn't calm enough because when I came out of the bathroom, she was sitting on the bed. "What happens now, Pablo? I'm really sorry about all of this." I looked at him but didn't know the answer. I said, "I don't know, but I think you should stay with your parents until we find a solution." She cried and said, "You don't love me anymore? If I didn't love you, you'd be on the side of the road right now. Listen, I'm taking a few days off. I'm going to take your parents' children and take care of them. They are here. I need it. I think there is even more time left. Bring her some clothes and let her spend the night with you. I can't accept this. Would you like to have dinner with me? I made you beef stroganoff. This won't help us make my favorite dishes. I know, I just want to do something good for you. I love you so much, Paul. Everything I do kills me. You have to trust me. I will never cheat on you. I think it's time for you to go. If you take the children to kindergarten, I will pick them up tomorrow." "Everything is okay," he shouted. "I love you so much. Let me go home early." He tried to hug me, but I took a step back. She turned and left the room, and I stood there wondering if I should let her stay. But I didn't stop her. The next morning, Monday, I woke up and decided to make one decision or another before Wednesday. I don't think procrastination helps. After discussing this with my manager, I was given a week off. He pressured me to take advantage of the free time, which was good. I made an appointment with a lawyer the following Wednesday to see what I would have to face if I decided to go through with the divorce. Hopefully, it's not as bad as my internet research suggests. I also sent a group message to the kids to see if anyone had done the same thing as me and asked for time off. It turned out that everyone had at least one day off, so I suggested that everyone meet. Robin was at Steve's house, so we decided to meet there. Robin can take care of all the children who are not in kindergarten or not with their mother. When Steve calmed down, he and Robin made peace. I'm glad about that because we know that she didn't act like a whore that night like other women. I don't think he deserves to be punished as severely as others. Damon asked Kelly to stay with his parents for a few days, and she agreed. He didn't make any decisions at the time. Mark is still moving forward with his divorce plans. The complete lack of respect Gil showed him was difficult to overcome. Nobody blames him for this decision. He received evidence of his betrayal on his phone. While talking at the kitchen table, Damon and Steve agreed with Mark that he would do his best to work with Maggie. Everyone thought she didn't do anything, but it was unclear if that was true. If I'm honest with myself, I realize that I'm already leaning towards this, but I still plan to consult with a lawyer to be more thorough. Damon had another problem. Kelly and her husband sat in the back seat for no reason. Even if she hadn't slept with this guy, something would have happened. Damon, like me, really didn't know what to do. If we didn't have children, our wives would live down the street with Jill. We just can't make emotional decisions that quickly. Families are in danger. The more I think about it, the more serious the consequences of divorce become. Wives will probably have to get jobs. Alimony and alimony payments will be ridiculous. We'll get extra housing benefits, and wives will almost certainly get primary custody. As bad as I feel, Damon feels even worse because Kelly is ahead of Maggie. That night, I regretted leaving her. I wish I had let it affect this guy. At least he would be more aware of his intentions. But what man wouldn't stop him in a situation like that? I picked up the kids from daycare and they were talking as usual. As the day went on, my mood improved and I didn't miss Maggie as much. Around lunchtime, Dale called, and after talking for a while, he asked, "Paul, let's go get some pizza and see if we can help you find a solution." "Dale, you and Katya are welcome, but I won't be seeing or talking to Maggie today." "Paul, you can't hide from her." "I'm not hiding. I just need time to think about my options and what to do. If you want to promote your site, I have no problem talking to you about it, but not Maggie." "Okay, Paul. See you in an hour." If he didn't love his parents so much, he would call it a disaster. Since I already wanted to give him a second chance, I decided to talk to them. It won't hurt anything. We ate pizza and talked about Children's Day until we went to bed. It was a difficult conversation. They had to explain why their mother was not home to take care of them. Katya's presence was very useful, and I am grateful to her. After the children put the story down and finished reading it, A lively discussion began. Katya said, "Pavel, where are you now? Is there still a chance that they are together?" "There's always a chance. My problem is reconciling her intentions with what I know and see." She pretended nothing would happen to this man, which was fine, but she told him she was sure it was a scam. Katya, the situation. She said it was so he could buy her a drink. For us, it wasn't about the money. The man had no reason to buy him a drink. She also gave him underwear. "My God," she said. Dale lowered his head. I told Dale the whole story, but I don't think he told her. I don't blame him. It was bad enough that he knew what was going on. "Paul, I don't know what to say," he said in a barely audible voice. "I know. Very bad." She said it was because she took risks and was too drunk to make good decisions. Who would dare take off their panties in a bar without them trying to get into his pants? Don't leave. Who gives it to him? This is not how a wife and mother should behave. What should I do knowing all this? Besides, it was supposed to be a fun night, at least for her friend Jill, and maybe for all of them. We asked them to go to Damon's bar so they knew they would be safe. They said no, they didn't want to be spied on. Sounds like an innocent night. It doesn't work for me. That's why we hunt them. "Thank God you did it," Dale added. "Yes, Mark and Jill are getting divorced. Damon and Kelly probably too. This would definitely be the case if Damon wasn't thinking about children. The only safe couple among all of us is Steve and Robin, so since she left, when they started crossing the line, they even got angry because Steve hated Robin for not trying to stop his indiscretions." "How about some advice?" Dale asked. "Oh, at least it should have happened if I decided to give it a chance. There's no doubt about it. Something made her make this terrible decision to go out with her friends because she knew that all Jill wanted was to find a man. She should be the voice of reason and stop this, not push it further." They nodded. I found that their hands were very tense, as if they were afraid to let go. God, I wish Maggie loved me as much. Dale asked, "What's next, Paul?" "I'm meeting with a lawyer on Wednesday. I have set a timetable for a decision based on the results of this meeting. We really hope that doesn't happen, honey. We don't want to see our families fall apart because of this. Remember, we are collateral damage in your decisions. We love you like a son." "I know, I love you too. I'm sorry you had to go through that." There's really nothing more to say after that. After their farewells, I went to the Glenfiddich Bottling Company. On Tuesday afternoon, someone knocked on the door. Dale gave me a letter from Maggie. I don't know why he felt the need to write me a letter. "I'm answering your call. I just don't want to be around her." There was nothing in the letter that she didn't say. I feel like she keeps trying to tell me that she loves me. It seems like it would be more believable if it was written down. I went to a lawyer just to find out how bad it would be for me if we got divorced. Without proof of adultery, housewife, alimony, joint custody, I have to pay child support for 17 years if the kids go to college. The guy literally looked me in the eye and said, "Find a way to deal with this. It's really normal, and they're cheaper to maintain." I decided to invite him to my home. I didn't know what to expect or how it would work, but I knew that if we could do it, it wouldn't happen if we lived separately. I wrote to him and said, "You can go home now, but you have to answer one question. How can I trust you again?" I wish she would tell me this because I don't see how I can trust her in the future. I know that without trust, we have no future. When I put the kids to bed, I still didn't have any answers. The kids were so upset that she wasn't home that I couldn't give them a convincing answer. After reading the story, they fell asleep in tears. The more I thought about it, the angrier I became, so I called his parents' landline. I have not received a reply. I called her on my mobile phone but received no answer. I called Dell's cell phone but there was no answer. I called all 3 numbers and texted every 15 minutes for an hour. It's almost 10 o'clock and I'm starting to worry. I called Robin and asked her to watch the kids so I could see what was going on in the house. I was afraid that someone should have answered the phone at that time of night. Robin came up to me, and I met her at the door. "Is there anything else, Paul?" "No, thank you for coming so quickly. I'll tell you what happened as soon as possible." The drive home took only 10 minutes, and everything was quiet. I saw Maggie's car in the driveway, so I rang the doorbell but got no answer. I opened the door with the key to his house. I didn't see anything interesting and Dale's car was gone. I looked around again and still didn't see anything. I called Dale's cell phone again and heard it ringing in his room. Wherever they went, he left his phone. Katya had a cell phone, but I didn't know her number and never needed it. They were always together and called me from a landline every time. We no longer have landlines. We use mobile phones all the time. I took Dell's phone and luckily it was unlocked. I searched and found Katya's mobile phone number. I heard the kitchen doorbell ring while she was talking on the phone and found it in her bag. They were in a hurry and did not take a mobile phone or wallet. Where could they go? I dialed Maggie's number again and heard the doorbell in the other room. Oops! I'm screaming. What's happened? I was going to the toilet, and then I saw him in the sink. It was an empty bottle of sleeping pills. Fearing the worst, I fell to my knees and cried. Why didn't they call me? I thought, calmed down, and ran to my car. There was a hospital a few miles away, so I drove like a bat and left the car at the ambulance line. I ran and told the lady at the front desk 3 names to look out for, hoping they weren't there. They had Maggie, but she was in the ER and they didn't want me to get sick. I silently prayed that she would be alive, and fortunately they let me in. I ran through the maze of corridors trying to find his room. I found Maggie lying in bed, hooked up to a machine, but not Dale or Katya. I grabbed the arm that wasn't connected to the IV and started crying. A few minutes later, the nurse came. Are you related to her? She is my wife. Will she be okay? Yes, her stomach hurts. She will sleep for a while, but everything is fine now. They got her here on time. Be healthy. I'm so glad they found you. When everything calmed down, his parents were dizzy with excitement and realized that they had not called you and they did not have a laptop with a phone. They moved her to the room where she was. It's almost time for bed. You need to fill out some forms, insurance and all that. Tax. At that moment, my phone rang and it was Robin. Paul, she's in the emergency room. You need... I'm here, Robin. I'm with her. How do you know? Dale said he couldn't call you. I found an empty pill bottle and her phone in her house and feared the worst. I ran here. Paul, this is Dale. I'm with her, Dale. I'm so sorry, son. When we found her, we took her there in a panic and forgot our phones. All our numbers are in the damn thing, and we don't even try to keep track of them. Remember, I don't know how to do this anymore. Katya was in bad shape and panicking, so I couldn't leave her until we were told Maggie would be okay. As soon as Katya calmed down, I ran after you. Katya is not in the room. I do not know where she is. She wants to go to church. I'll come back. See you soon. Floor? Robin said as he walked back to answer the phone. Robin, can you stay a little longer? Yes, I'll stay here for the night. Don't worry about anything here. Thank you. I owe you. Forget it. Please keep me posted. I will be grateful. Maggie had not woken up for a long time, and it would be a long time before she was moved to her room, so I went to check on Katya. I needed more answers, and I wanted to make sure she was okay. I found her bathing in the church. She saw me and rushed into my arms. Oh, Paul, she was so scared she took the medicine. What's happened? What's happened? We do not know. She sat in her room all day. Immediately after dinner, I gave her tea, as I do every evening, but she fell into bed. She just woke her up, but she said something about a stupid mistake and medicines. It didn't take me long to figure out what he was doing. Dale took her to the car, and we were there in no time. We weren't going to pick up the phone. I don't think so. I won't pick up the phone. I even have a wallet. Take it. I saw him. I came to your house when no one answered my messages. I don't understand why he didn't call me after I told him to go home. Did you let her go home? Yes. We still have a lot to talk about, but separation doesn't help. Then why is he doing this? This makes no sense. She really wants to come home to you. Well, we'll have to wait for her to tell us. Well, she'll be moved to a room soon and Dale will be back. We were at Maggie's house when Dale returned. Katya fell asleep. Every change? Asked. No, I'm just waiting. Fine. Oh, here are your keys. I saw your car in the driveway. I parked it for you. Thank you. I forgot I left it there. Someone must have disabled this for you. It's not working. You're lucky it wasn't stolen. I didn't think much about it at the time. Sir, you forgot your phone at home. Yes, but we are old. We have an excuse. Maggie was placed in a room and we were sent home to bed. We couldn't do anything and didn't know when he would wake up. I filled out all my insurance information, signed the required forms, and went home. After talking to Robin about Maga's condition, she asked me why I was doing this. I don't know, I said. I told him to go home and... Oh, shit. What? Asked Robin. I told her to go home, but she had to tell me how to trust her again. Damn, I'm sure he misheard. I mean, this should be the start of the conversation, not the end of it. I can't think of an answer. Damn, it's all my fault. No need. It is not your fault. A terrible situation was created and it was in a state of collapse for several days. It was her decision. Now you must be strong to be able to restore it. We need her. Now more than ever. You must have common sense. Your children need this to be healthy. Fine. This is not what we need now. I can't fix this if I have to fix my marriage first. It's your stupid night with your daughters. What the hell are you thinking about right now? We know we were stupid. I'm sorry I put you through this. She hugged me and left. I took the children to kindergarten and went to the hospital. I arrived half an hour before the start of the tour. Nobody stopped me, so I don't know if everything is okay. I don't mind. He was sleeping when I entered his room. I saw a plate of food there untouched. I remember this was one of the things I stocked up on the day before. Breakfast. I thought that he had not woken up yet, and this made me happy. I hope he wakes up and sees me there. If she knows I'm here to help her, I hope it puts her in the right frame of mind and brings her something good. I took her hand and leaned down to kiss her forehead. She stirred but didn't wake up, so I pulled up a large chair and sat down. I held his left hand with my right and scrolled through the news on my phone. Dale and Katya arrived early in the visit. They smiled when they saw me, and Katya asked, "Is she awake?" I do not believe in that. I didn't see the nurse and she didn't have breakfast, but that doesn't mean anything. Like a child? I didn't tell them anything. They went to kindergarten as usual. Yeah, there's no use bothering her, Dale agreed. We talked for a few minutes and then I said, if she is released, I will take her home. This is the best. She needs stability. She needs a family, children. Without you, she will obviously be lost, said Katya. I just don't understand why, Dyer said. You told him to go home because you did it? He asked me to come home if I could show him how to trust me again, said Maggie, now awake. I held her hand tightly and looked at her with tears in my eyes. Katya and Dale jumped up and moved to the other side of the bed. Honey, what made you do this? Dale asked. I tried all day during dinner and after. I couldn't find a way to show him that he could trust me. I just couldn't stand it. If I couldn't go back to him. Without him, nothing would be possible. I cannot continue. I never set any conditions for your return. What I meant was that we need to work together first. Honey, what you are doing is more painful than what caused our problems in the first place. Your children need you. I need you. I can't lose you, I said, kissing his cheek. She started crying and said, I'm so sorry. I'm sorry you did this to us. I really love you. Please forgive me. The nurse came in and ended the call. The nurse did the same and said, if your blood test comes back normal and the doctor decides not to try again, you can probably leave here later today. You are a very lucky woman. More than you think, she replied. The conversation had been casual all morning, and I left it for a few hours while I went to get the kids. Their parents and I decided to take the children to meet them. We think she will need all the positive things we have collected for her. While waiting for the elevator, the door opened to reveal Jill and Kelly. Robin had to tell them what happened. Jill saw the look on my face and extended her arms. We just wanted to visit you. We didn't want any problems. It's all your fault. This is a direct result of your upset night. If you don't leave here now, I'll call the police and tell them you're following us. That's for sure. You will do it. The day after the trial. You'll want to see your daughter and look good at the hearing. You're an idiot. This ban is nonsense, and you know it. The only thing I know is that you are not the woman you are talking about. You became a monster because you threatened Mark. I will do everything in my power to reduce your chances in court. She looked ready to attack when Kelly grabbed her arm and pulled her away. You don't need this now, he said. I said it was a bad idea. Rotten hell, Paul, Jill said as they walked up the stairs. It would be better if I didn't see you there, dear. I couldn't believe she was here, as if nothing had happened. I guess some people just have balls of copper. I picked up the kids, stayed home, and took them to the hospital. I saw his parents in the waiting room, and they said he was going to the doctor, so we had to wait. We all thought it was a mental health check. I told the kids that my mom was sick, but I didn't mention it, and they didn't ask. We decided that if anyone asked us, we would say that they had a stomachache. It's stupid, but we hope they buy it. At 5 and 4 years old, they know what to ask or believe. The doctor came to our meeting and asked to speak with me alone. We walked into a small office and he quickly asked me, "Are you going to take her back?" She asked me her question. "I'm afraid if you fire her or leave her again, she won't be able to handle it." Now my plan is the same as before. Take her home. We can't repair our marriage if she's not home. He nodded. But this situation is a priority, right? We need to clear their minds before we can take the right actions, right? Yes, to some extent, he replied. It is necessary to combine therapy with both. If you let him know that your marriage is good but not working, his depression may get worse. I would recommend that she and I see a therapist. I highly recommend this. They both look at them together. You don't have to choose one over the other, especially since your family problems are at the center of your personal problems. Can you go home? Yes, I would advise you to get the injection today. You will be given antidepressants and referred to a doctor. I would encourage you to do this together. This will make treatment much easier for them and for you as a couple. Tax. We took her home and surprised her with a large welcome home sign that the kids and I made before heading to the hospital. After a while, Dale and Katya came and took all their things home. We had dinner with two children who were very excited and happy that their mother was home. Although he had been gone for less than a week, it felt like a century had passed. The kids were downstairs, their parents were gone, and I was cleaning the kitchen when she appeared and hugged me from behind. I didn't hear her cry, but my shirt was wet from her tears. I love you so much, Pablo. Please tell me you still love me. I turned and hugged her. I told him, I never stopped loving you. I just couldn't stand what you did to me and what you did to our marriage. You didn't act like a wife and everything was planned in advance. You knew what Jill did, which you will support. You should block them, not bother them. Pablo, you have to believe me. I never wanted to cheat on you. I will never break our vow. I took a step back and said, see, this is exactly your problem. You don't understand what you did to stop me from cheating and breaking our oath. I see it. Where is my respect if you avoid me all Saturday so we can't talk? Where is your respect for me when you beat me up for wearing ridiculous clothes and implying that you were going home with a man? Where is your honor in me when you're on the dance floor caressing and kissing the man you told me we were going to get a divorce from? You gave me your wet panties as a token of gratitude to another man? Where was your love for me when you walked drunk to his car? She cried but didn't say anything. We have fundamental disagreements about how a wife should behave, not to mention a mother of two. I am very sorry. I admit that I did not behave like a good wife and mother. I asked Jill to throw a party to relax. He even helped me choose a dress. Well, it's true. Did you know that Jill betrayed Mark? I have a suspicion. She met him at the bar that night. You know, she's crazy about Mark. He needs a restraining order. I talk to all the girls. They keep me updated on their status. However, this ban makes no sense. He poses no threat to them. You know that. No, you're wrong. When all I wanted to do was leave Sammy, she started screaming at me like a banshee. She attacked me. I saw her attack Mark's car and he was throwing rocks. I was there when the arrest was made. I have no idea. Yes, did you know she sent him abusive text messages and threatened to force her lover to hug him while he watched so she could clean his penis with her tongue? I saw it. Jill is a monster who needs help. I don't know. Sorry. Looks like he gave her his dick out of spite. No. This divorce is going to be nasty. Hopefully this will be enough to reduce their impact on her life. She is to blame for all our problems. I won't even let her see you in the hospital. I know. She called me. I really appreciate it. I didn't want to see her. Believe it or not, I was angry with her and didn't want to be with her. I think she convinced Kelly to go to the motel with them. Oh, that's new information. She sighed and said, I'm not going to lie to anyone. They wanted to keep their kids warm by giving them blowjobs in the car. And then they needed a room. That's why I didn't take Jill's SUV. My husband, he didn't want to do any of that, and he certainly didn't want to go to a motel. I have to tell Damon, you know. I know. She doesn't admit to anything and they are frozen. I'm afraid their marriage won't work. We'll see, but that's their business. We have our own problems. I was in my room getting ready for bed when she came in. Paul, we can sleep together, right? Yes, you can sleep in our bed, but I'm not sure I'm ready to make love. Yes, I just want to be with you. I miss you. I nodded and we went to bed. In the morning, he woke me up when he gave me a blowjob. It felt really good, and I wanted it to end. But then thoughts of that night filled my mind, and I sat up. She pushed me to the ground and said, let me help you. Let me tell you how much I love you, he attacked with great enthusiasm. She is great. She swallowed me almost whole, grunting as she reached the bottom. She stood up and slowly licked and sucked the head of my penis. She massaged my balls and licked my head, warning her, I'm gonna come, baby. She took me back into her mouth and caressed me as fast as she could. It was incredible and I exploded in her throat. She sucked up every drop of fluid and licked every trace of my cock as I shook off the after effects of the best orgasm I'd had in months. Paul, please don't say anything more. I say no, I have to do it for you. I love you so much that it kills me that you give me reason to doubt myself. I sighed and took her in my arms. I love you. I know you love me, but you just put yourself before your family and act like you don't love me. Oral sex will not solve our problems. We still have a lot to do. A few more blowjobs probably won't hurt, I said with a smile as she hit me with a pillow. It took us months and sometimes tears to get back to where we were before, but we did it. I don't think I'll do anything like that again. If he killed himself the first time because he thought he had lost me, I can't imagine anything like that happening again. Her personal therapy revealed that she was too dependent on Jill and the influence she had on her. She was almost obsessed with this horror story, and Jill thought it was the best time of her life. When Jill returns to this lifestyle, Maggie wants to try it. From then on, he completely ignored Jill and felt good about the situation. Mark and Jill are divorced. He lost guardianship, but was generously visited. In fact, her parents forced her to go to therapy. When Mark tells the whole story of how he destroyed his family, his rich father threatens to disown her. I hope she can improve. Damon and Kelly insisted. Damon couldn't bear to be separated from his daughters. I don't think he was happy, but he put on a good show and kept Kelly under control. He also cut off all contact with Jill. After months of persuasion from Damon, I stopped complaining that Kelly and Maggie were still friends. I feel bad for Damon, and I can't help but think that when the girls get older, he will leave. Steve and Robin also lived together. This, of course, was the easiest way, since she did nothing with other men. She refuses to go on a date without Steve, which seems a little crazy to me, but it's her marriage. The ladies still have a Sam club, and they brought another homemaker into the community, Hannah Davis. She's a great wife, but her husband Ryan doesn't play golf, smoke cigars, or drink craft beer. However, we are working on it. He is a fantastic darts player and fits perfectly into our team.